Jonesy, after that near flawless start from me just now, I was saying, looking forward to getting back in the swing of things. And then about 4 seconds later, I say, right, Brentford reaction coming up next, even though we've already done the Brentford reaction on last week's podcast. And in fact, West Ham's most recent opponent was Atalanta, and I was at the game, which makes it all the more embarrassing. You declined an invite from me to come with me to the Brentford game and the Atalanta game. Did you manage to see any of it, any highlights, and do you regret your decision?
Declined is a strong description of, or an unfair description as to what the reason why I couldn't go. But
did I invite you? Yes. Did
you
you
invited
come?
me.
No.
Chad invited me. Some mates invited me.
So
And
popular, mate.
I know, and I had to say no to
Decline.
everyone. I had to
Decline.
decline.
Yes.
Yeah, I suppose I did have to decline, but it wasn't. I desperately wanted to go. I did. I really, really wanted to go, but I couldn't. So it meant that I missed out, but I was keeping an eye on it. Obviously, I didn't get the chance to watch any of it, but I've seen the extended highlights, and I'm very, very much looking forward to seeing Said Benrahma next season. I'm on the bandwagon now. I'm on the
Yep.
bandwagon.
You're
Looks absolutely class.
You're the new Tom Edwards, are you?
I am, yeah. Like genuinely excited to see what he can do for us. Like, wow.
Yeah, totally agree, mate. No, I totally agree. And I think we've said, on the ones we've done over the summer that I'm confident he can step up and fill Lingard's boots. Whether or not it'll be as effective as quickly, that's yet to be seen. And when the Premier League comes round, rather than pre-season, if there's still those frustrating last ball final decisions that are letting him down, that will be disappointing. But all you ask for, I've said it all along. Whenever I've been critical of any players, really, there's always the door open for them to redeem themselves, unless your name's Felipe or Sebastian. And yeah, I think the same with Benrahma. To be quite honest, I don't think he was good enough to get in the team last season. No matter what people kept saying, that doesn't mean I hate him forever, and I never want to see him in a West Ham shirt again. I think he was a promising signing. I'm excited that we've got him on board now. That's why I don't think that attacking midfield position, the Mateus Pereiras or whoever it was that we were looking at, is anywhere near as important as centre forward or centre midfield or centre back for that matter. But those first two in particular. So yeah, he was absolutely phenomenal again. He was good at Brentford. Obviously, he scored a nice goal as well, and he sort of looked nice and neat and tidy, and yeah, it was good to see. But yeah, Atalanta, he was stunning. He was absolutely everywhere, and I mean, obviously, Fornal's goal was a complete fluke. There, I mean, it wouldn't have gone in if Fornals hadn't have deflected it. It wasn't like Benrahma's header was rifling for the top corner. But yeah, he looks really up for it, Jonesy, and I think he was pretty humble, wasn't he, for most of last season? He gave an interview after the game, and Antonio, you all have seen the video. He's on fire. He's on fire. And brilliant. And I really hope he does step up. We've said, haven't we, whether or not, we're going to be facing a lot of games this season, aren't we? Or hopefully, if we go as far as we'd like to in these competitions. Can he do that for every single game is yet to be seen. But it certainly looks promising, doesn't it?
It does, and I think it's come at a really, really good time given Lingard's not coming back, or at the moment he's not coming back. So we really either needed to get in the market and get someone in to replace him. Mateus Pereira's made the odd decision to go to Saudi Arabia. So we've missed out on him. So therefore, it was like, well, there's no one really in the market that we know of that can come in and do that role. So the fact that Said Benrahma looks like he can play that role that Lingard did to a degree and effectively, I think it's really, really promising. The only trouble is that we've only got one player in that position. We lack squad depth elsewhere in the team as it is. So if he can stay fit for the whole season and keep up that form, he's not going to play like Messi every game, but do pretty well for the entire season, then I'm sure that he can, contribute for goals and assists to a level that will ensure that we have a good season. But but yeah, it's exciting that we've got a player that's going to step in and have that sort of season, and particularly given that he struggled for minutes last year as well. A lot of fans are really calling for him to get more game time, and it looks like he's going to get that. It looks like David Moyes has got the best out of him in pre-season and seen what he is capable of when he's high in confidence. And I think that's the key thing with Benrahma. If he's confident, he'll play well. And I think at the moment we're seeing him at the peak of confidence, which is great.
I must admit, Jonesy, as well, for a team, I was expecting a lot more from Atalanta. For a team who finished third in Serie A last season and will be playing Champions League football this campaign, I did expect a lot more from them. I don't know if it was just West Ham playing particularly well. We did play very well, and if as you hope, and that is the point of pre-season, that just seamlessly carries into the Premier League campaign and we get off and running against Newcastle on Sunday in that fashion, then happy days. Again, I can't really tell you if we made Atalanta look bad or they just had an off day or it wasn't their strongest squad or whatever. Duvan Zapata come on at the end, the perennial West Ham transfer link, isn't he? Just when every single summer when some website or another fancies a few more clicks and they've been getting, they whack up a Duvan Zapata to West Ham story. Yeah, he looked all right when he come on. He was only played for about half an hour, I think, in the end. But from a West Ham point of view, I thought Pablo Fornals looked nice and composed, as he always does, as is his way. Jared Bowen come off the bench. Everyone played nice and tidy, really. Fabianski did all right. Alphonse Areola got about half an hour at the end. Marky Noble came on and got a rapturous reception from the home crowd. I would say, I don't know, I haven't seen the official attendance, but it felt like there was about, I don't know, just maybe 30,000 in there, maybe a little bit less than that on a sunny afternoon in East London. Well, sunny for 5 minutes, then chucking it down with rain because the whole world's blowing up at the moment. Yeah, all in all, though, mate, it was nice to be back. We played really well. Are you, again, not to fall into that easy trap, certainly as a West Ham fan, of being unnecessarily cynical and going, well, last time we were unbeaten in pre-season, because I'm one that thinks pre-season means absolutely nothing, certainly results-wise. What do you think, if any, it will have an impact on the upcoming Premier League season?
I'm with you in that results in pre-season are irrelevant, but performances are important. Fitness is important. Obviously, that's what they're there for. And I think we can take a lot of confidence in the level of performances that the team's put in throughout the summer, regardless of whether they're unbeaten or not. Particularly in the last three friendlies against Celtic, Brentford, and Atalanta, I think that all three performances were very, very good. And I think that the team will take a lot of confidence of that going into the new season. Yeah, we still need one or two new faces in. And ideally, we would have had them before pre-season started, or at least with a few games for them to bed in before the season proper starts. But I think we can only be confident that, the players have taken a lot of confidence, the manager's taken a lot of confidence of, you're turning over a Champions League team 2-0, two Champions League teams, if you include Celtic in that. Although they're not in the Champions League this year, they're already out, aren't they?
Yeah, I don't.
Yeah, I mean, that's clutching a little bit, to be fair, but
yeah.
But I mean, their currently Europa League team might end up being a Conference League team by the end of their qualifying campaign, but they're still, they still play in the Champions League occasionally. So we've played well in all of those games, and it's can only be a good thing, regardless. We could have lost all those games and still played well, and the players would probably still take a lot of confidence in. The results are kind of just a byproduct of just
good
getting fit and good performances. So yeah, I'm quietly confident of going into the new season, raring to go, and I'm sure the players are as well, because it's been quite a pleasing summer.
Yeah, absolutely, mate. Yeah, Declan led the team out as well, and he looked in reasonable shape. He didn't look too sluggish at all. Aaron Cresswell, good to see him. He looks fresh and sharp as ever. And it's funny, isn't it? And what, a couple of seasons ago, you wouldn't have been excited about seeing Aaron Cresswell again, would you? It was very much his time's coming to an end. I think he's past his peak. His best days are behind him. But one of the best seasons we've seen from him in a West Ham shirt last season, wasn't it? Almost like of Cresswell of old before that horrible injury robbed him of his pace. He's matured as a player now. He looked pretty sharp at the weekend. A few cute little pictures of him posted by the club afterwards on all the social media platforms. Big Virgil van Dawson looked absolutely like a rock at the back, not letting anything past him whatsoever. And Issa Diop looked as shaky as ever. But even Ryan Fredericks come on and looked all right. Even he took it past a couple of people and got the assist.
He played a big role in the. He assisted the assist, didn't he, for the second goal?
Yeah, was it a pre-assist or an actual assist?
I think it was a pre-assist. I mean, you could call it an actual assist because Benrahma can't really take the assist for that, can he? I mean, he's edited goalwards.
Yeah, it's a bit harsh.
But yeah, I mean, he did it. Fredericks worked great for that goal, and what he did to get round the fullback to get the cross in, superb. More of that, please, because we don't see a lot of him. But when he does play, I've always thought he's a relatively safe pair of hands in that position. So
Fredericks?
Yeah, I've never thought, oh, Corey's terrible.
If I had the time, I'd dig back through the West Ham archives, and I'd make. I'm sure. I'm not sure if I'm having that.
I've never had a pop at Fredericks. I've been
a safe pair of hands.
I mean, he's not a starter, definitely not a starter, and he has been underwhelming when you consider when we signed him, and everyone was going, "Oh, he's a pace merchant, and he's going to be so good." And can't believe we managed to get him on a free, and he hasn't lived up to expectations in that regard. But I still think he's a relatively safe pair of hands in that position, and you can't convince me otherwise. And he did all right against Atalanta, by all accounts.
Fair enough. Well, Suchi and Sufi looked absolutely phenomenal as well, particularly Sufal. I mean, he was just blushing around. I've never seen a man so pleased to be back at the London Stadium in all my life. He was delighted. Bless him. Yeah, absolutely does. Yeah, got a good reception as he came off in the second half as well. All in all, mate, I think it was a nice day, a nice performance. West Ham played really well, and again, you can't ask for more, really. Winning the Betway Cup for, correct me if I'm wrong, just the second time in 9 years, I believe. I think it's that. So it's very West Ham to only win our own competition that many times. I did see someone tweet the other day, buzzing that we finally won the Betway Cup the same amount of times as Werder Bremen. But it was a lovely day. Lovely to see Chad Yeomans from Betway, who we'll speak to later on, present the trophy to Mark Noble at the end. Bless him, his moment in the spotlight. So we'll ask him about that later on. But yeah, all in all, mate, I mean, Mikel Antonio's goal at the end of the first half, in almost typical Will Pugh fashion, I missed. Went there with my dad, had a nice day at the football together, and just said, should we? I mean, nothing's going to happen, is it? We'll just nip inside, get ahead of the queue, and we'll get another beer in. And I don't often do that. I try and get out of the habit if I can, but I thought nothing's happening here. Lips got in the queue, and there goes the cheer. So, yeah, it was all in all, mate. It's positive stuff, isn't it? There's not a lot else you can really say from that side of things. Is there anything can you find any concerns outside of just transfer activity? I suppose that's the only thing, really, isn't it? That it's I don't want to be one of those people saying, because I'm not, that doesn't think we need to buy more players. That doesn't mean that I have doubts or am feeling negative about the players that are in our squad. Far from it, actually. I think we've got to remember those players got us to where we were last season. I'm 100% want to see more bodies come in before the end of the window. However, the players we've got looking good, Nick, and they look like they can produce similar to what they were doing last season, if you can take anything from pre-season, obviously.
Yeah, I don't think there's any concerns with obviously the squad that we've got is absolutely fine. There are areas that probably do need strengthening a little bit, but as you said, this is the squad that got us to where we are this season. This is the squad that will deserve to play in the Europa League in September when our first game comes. So yeah, aside from the fact that we're worryingly weak in terms of squad depth in a number of positions, I have full trust in.
Aside from that,
So yeah, but I mean, I have full trust in the squad that we've got so far to start the season well and start the season where we left off, and really push on. But as we
they will
saw,
all do their bit, won't they?
they will all do their bit, and as we saw last season,
Yeah.
one or two injuries to big players, and it begins to get a little bit worrying, a little bit shaky. So I really want to see some sort of business getting done in the next couple of weeks. But as for the current squad, backing them all the way. Heroes.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely, mate. Absolutely. Well, look, we're not going to do a transfer section this week because it comes across like we're just sort of taking a mick, really. Yeah, again, we're trying not to be too angry too soon either. There's some big deals in the offing in the transfer market, which you'd hope sort of kick off a bit of a change. Certainly, if Chelsea bring Lukaku in, then that'll mean Tammy Abraham will almost certainly move on. Arsenal might do a bit of business. Lacazette might go. Blah blah blah. There might be a bit of a domino effect. The Milenkovic deal from Fiorentina, West Ham, the centre back, looks like it's edging closer. Jonesy, doesn't it? Do you know really? Can you update us at all on that? Save doing a whole transfer section.
Well, no, it's a little bit up in the air. There's some people saying that it's all but done. Other people saying it's not as far as other people are reporting. Still a bit to do. So as far as I'm aware, the deal will get done. It's just no one really knows how far along the deal is in terms of being completed. So, but as I understand it, the deal's going to happen. But anything can happen, particularly where West Ham's concerned. So he's not a West Ham player until he's a West Ham player.
No, absolutely, mate. Well, fingers crossed that he will be by the time we speak next week, and we will do. Don't worry, we will do the angry, furious episode at West Ham's lack of transfer activity if it is needed. But in our opinion, it's not needed just yet. We did the same thing in January, and we went off on one after that transfer window. So if you're expecting more of that content, don't worry, it is coming if we bring no extra players in. But we're willing to be a little bit patient at the moment after the busy summer it's been, and hope that any business, as does sometimes happen in transfer windows, perhaps transfer windows of old, but hope it's all a little bit more last minute, if at all. But that was the Atalanta reaction, not the Brentford reaction, like I told you it was going to be earlier on. Stay with us for part 2, where we'll have some season expectations from me and Big James Jones.
We did touch on this slightly last couple of weeks ago, didn't we? So
yeah, I'll just keep it really brief, mate. Yeah,
managed to be a short one.
Yeah. Jonesy, I finally got the hang of figuring out who it was West Ham played most recently, which I think will set us in good stead for the podcast this season. We've got Newcastle in our very next game to kick off our Premier League campaign, Sunday afternoon at 2:00 at St James's Park. We'll speak to Chris Woff from the Athletic Newcastle correspondent later on to get his thoughts on that. Chad from Betway for our first round of charity bets for the season, which is exciting stuff. But looking ahead to the season, Jonesy, we have covered it a bit long term, so I just wanted to nail in on it before we start as far as expectations for the season goes. We have covered it really. So just give us I want a brief overview from you about what you think would be a good season, and then I'm going to ask you a couple more individual ones about who you think the star of the campaign is going to be, players we might lose, players we could do about, etc., etc. But as far as just the nuts and bolts of it goes, just give us a recap on what you would like to see, but also what I want to hear what you actually expect as well from League, Europa League, and the cups.
I'll start with what I'd like to see and what I think we should be looking for and aiming for is at least the top 10 finish. I think it's going to be a tight league this year. I think 3 or 4 teams are going to be out for the title. There's going to be a lot of teams battling it out in the bottom half of the table. So if we can avoid any kind of scramble in the bottom half of the table and throughout the season and be in the top 10, I think that should be seen as having a pretty solid season. Anything above there and it's a bonus in my eyes, I think, this season. The key for me is just building on previous on last season, just making sure that we don't do what we always do and follow up a good season with a bad season. I think now's the time to really start getting a little bit of consistency, start building a platform for the future, and that's how you grow as a football club. That's what Leicester have done, and look what they're doing now. So we should be looking to do a very similar thing. And for the Europa League, I think I said a couple of weeks ago, getting out the group would be amazing if we can get out the group. We don't know who we've got yet. I think the draw's in a couple of weeks, so probably have a better idea then. It's difficult to really gauge it until you know who's going to be in your group. I say that as if I've got experience of being in group stage football, but yeah. I mean, it's difficult to call until you do get, until you know you got. I don't know what seed we are either, so I mean, we could get.
We're quite low. I think we're third from bottom. I checked the other day.
So
I think we're third from bottom. Yeah,
it's going to be one rubbish team and two half decent teams probably. If we get out the group, for me, that's getting to the knockout rounds, and then I think that should be seen as a bit of a success. And if the domestic cups, a cup run in the League Cup would be nice. Say it every year. The League Cup's the one that every club like West Ham should be trying to win every single season.
Stop it.
Why aren't you trying to win that?
I've told you this before.
Why aren't we trying to win it?
Well, of course we're trying to win it. Everyone's trying to win it. But then we we don't always play good teams, to be fair. But that's such a stupid thing. It really gets on my nerves.
Well, you say that.
All clubs should be trying to win that. Yes, all clubs are trying to win it.
Well, I mean,
namely the bigger clubs who are better than us with deeper squads.
I don't think so. I mean, there's a lot of clubs that, like the likes of Man City, do it properly. They'll still play a strong side. I mean, they could play their under 15s and still.
Yeah, well, that's everyone. The problem, isn't it? Yeah.
But you got other clubs that they'll field the youth team or put out 7 youngsters and give six of those youngsters a debut. You're not telling me that those clubs are trying to win the competition. Like, what are you doing? There's a lot of teams every season that will do that, and it'll happen again. I think the second round or the first rounds in the next week or so, it's going to happen again.
Yeah, but it's because, mate, it's because the winners get like a fish and chip dinner and a 6 case of Carabao energy drinks for winning.
What's wrong with that? What's wrong with that?
No, I'm just saying that's why, isn't it? It's because it's not worth anything to anyone. And if you've got like us or like any other Premier League teams, you've got a fairly thin squad, and and it's a packed season. I'm for you. I'd love to see us win the League Cup, but just the way it's all set up now, it's just we've got half a chance, to be fair, of getting to a semi. But again, I said last week, mate, as long as we go out to someone who's decent and isn't going to make headlines, that's all. A non-headline making exit. Lose to Everton away like last season, fine. Man United in the cup, fine. No problem with those 2 things at all. But don't give me a Gillingham, an Oxford, or a Wimbledon.
I think the prize for winning the League Cup is exactly the same as winning the FA Cup, European football.
I thought you were going financially. I like it.
I mean, financially, regardless of whether you win the league, I mean, it's peanuts compared to what you could earn if you finish 4th in the Premier League and get into the Champions League. Like, financially, the only clubs that benefit financially from the domestic cups are the smaller clubs that get their day in TV, and they might get. Sutton will go to Old Trafford and get a payday. But other than that, like, you're not. The prize is the same. So why aren't bigger clubs, or not the top 4, not the top 6, but clubs like West Ham, Newcastle, Everton, going for the League Cup? It's an easier competition to win than the FA Cup.
Well, you say that. I mean, Man City have won like the last 93 of them, so it's not that easy at all. No, I know what you mean, but I think the idea that you play, I don't know, Arsenal at the weekend, and then you've got a game the following week against Everton, for example. The idea that you put your full strength team out on the Tuesday, and then if you don't and then lose, what the hell? Well, I should have been going full strength team, blah, blah, blah. You'd hope that our weakened teams it is very much a secondary competition, isn't it? Let's put it that way. But look, are you on the same page as me as far as You don't, all I care about, it doesn't really matter what
Yeah.
round, just go out to someone who's bigger and better. The Europa
Yeah.
League qualifying draw, Jonesy, the group stage draw is the 27th of August. So a little over 2 weeks to go until we find out who we play in that group stage match day 1, which is 16th of September. Match day 2 on the 30th. We'll have played our first 3 opponents by the 21st of October, 4th of November and the 25th, and match days 4 and 5 before the very final one. Our final group stage campaign match is on 9th of December. That's exciting. Jones, I'm with you really. So do you think it's unreasonable to expect West Ham to finish in the same league position again?
I think it's unreasonable to expect it. I think it's very unlikely this season. I think.
Does that suggest you thought last season was a fluke, or?
No, I don't think last season was a fluke. Absolutely no way did we fluke it. I think we were quite fortunate that 1 or 2 clubs had off seasons.
Mate, yeah, I'm not scared of Arsenal or Tottenham this season.
Nah, I'm not either. And both of those sides had poor seasons.
And they haven't really improved, have they, in the summer?
Everton had a poor season, based on what they would have wanted to achieve under Ancelotti. So I think we were
got a worse manager now.
Yeah, we were relatively fortunate that some of those clubs did have bad seasons, and we capitalised on it. And that was the great thing about it, is that years gone by, we hadn't capitalised on things like that. So yeah, but I think this season's a completely different kettle of fish with fans back in stadiums. And the likes of Chelsea splashing the cash, City splashing the cash. United doing the same. I think it's going to be a completely different kettle of fish at the top end of that table. So top 10, I think, should be the minimum. Whatever. If there's anything higher than that, then I think we should see that as a bonus. If we do finish in the top 6 again, then happy days. Obviously, we're going to be buzzing, but I don't think we should be expecting that. I think it'd be unfair to expect that from the team this season.
No, you know what, mate? I think we should have and should be expecting it from the club. Not David Moyes, like we've covered already. Because I think top 8 is a reasonable thing. After coming 6th, like the idea that you're quite happy to drop 4 places just because you've got a minimum of 6 extra games, that what should be happening is that we should be improving our squad in order that it can absorb those extra games and maintain there or thereabouts the same levels that got us there last season. That's what we should be doing. I won't be blaming if we go into the start of the season with the squad numbers we've got now, maybe 1 or 2 extra bodies, and we don't end up finishing in the top 8 again. None of my ire will be aimed at David Moyes or the players, obviously depending, unless they, his tactics just go completely awry or people start not putting in a shift, obviously, unless it's the obvious. But if Moyes and the players do the same as they did last season, and that only gets us 10th because of the extra burden of games, there's only one direction the finger of blame can be pointed in, isn't there? But I think as a club and fans, we should be expecting to finish 8th.
No, I completely agree with you. And I'm sure David Moyes and his players will be aiming for a very, very similar season. But I think we've got to stay realistic. If we go by, I agree with you that the football club should be aiming to finish in the top 6 again, or at least the top 8. If we go by what the football club is planning to do, we would have won the league 3 times since we moved into that stadium, and we haven't done it. Based on what they keep telling us how great we're going to be. And that hasn't happened. So I don't think we can expect too much from the ambitions of the football club outside of the squad and the coaching staff. So we have to go by what the squad and the coaching staff are capable of. I think last year they were fortunate given the circumstances of the season, but they played and they deserved to be in that top 6. And
definitely.
I think if they do the same again this year and put in if we get the same amount of points we did last season, next season, I don't think it'd be enough for top 6.
No. Yeah, fair enough, mate. Fair. I just think we've got nothing to be scared of Arsenal or of Tottenham this season. And I think if we go out, and it's like both of them clubs, you mentioned fans being back, and I am a little bit doubtful. I know it was a bit of a hot topic among West Ham fans. I am a little bit concerned, and I hope that all the people, the naysayers that said, West Ham not having a crowd in helped them, because at times the West Ham fans can be put more pressure on the players or do more harm than good. To be honest, there is an element of me that subscribes to that a little bit, not as much as some of the others, but I certainly don't think it's the most ridiculous notion ever, like some people are quick to suggest. But I think it'll be the same at Tottenham. Imagine the mood at Tottenham. I mean, whatever happens with Harry Kane, really, there's going to be a bit of a poisonous mood there. Like, they managed to tie his son down to a new contract, but whoopee, that's not, without Kane, who is he? So if Kane does end up going, then there's going to be fury, because you don't know how much time they're going to have to spend the money. And if he doesn't end up going, you would worry what sort of performances he's going to be putting in, because he's obviously not going to be happy. Arsenal, I mean, you saw how tragic they were last season. Is there anything to fear? Is Aubameyang going to turn it round again? You only need a couple of them to have a dodgy start. Their crowds are going to be on them as much, if not more, than any West Ham crowd will. So, no, I think I'm with you. I think top 10 I'd be all right with that. Begrudgingly, I would. If we get through the group stage of the Europa League, that'd be brilliant. And then, like I say, domestic cups is what it is. If we get through the group stage, I'll be absolutely delighted with that. And then, but I do think after that, as fans, we should make sure we point our, desires and frustrations, whatever they might be, in the right direction. When your club finishes 6th, I'll keep banging this drum until until the day I die, or until the day that West Ham, the club, start delivering to the fans who were wrenched away from Upton Park. This is what we were promised. No one should be like, this is what's annoyed me a bit about last season, and this sort of like reveling in it and laughing as if it's like, oh, we won't be here for long. It's like, no, come on. Like this, we should be like, we shouldn't be taking it as if this, like, treating it as this novelty ride for like, oh, look, West Ham are going to play some of the big boys once, and no, we better make the most of this. It's like, no, that's not the attitude you should be having. This should be normal. This should be normal, that we should be challenging. All right, maybe not getting in it every single year, but we should always be in the question. We should always be going down to the last 2 or 3 games in a season in with a sniff at European competition of some sort. That was the deal, remember? So, I'm not really in it for the novelty ride. And that is why that, if we don't put ourselves in a position to at least sort of achieve there or thereabouts within 1 or 2 league positions the same, and then make a success of the additional European competition, that is why I will be annoyed and disappointed once again at the end of the transfer market if that hasn't happened.
I agree. I think you've hit the nail on the head. I mean,
there we go then.
we were promised it. We were promised what we were about to experience. We were actually promised better.
Well, precisely.
I mean, I'd like to think that this isn't a one-off. That's not to say we're going to be in it every year, but I like to think that, now over the coming seasons, this won't be just I remember when we were in the Europa League group stages. And I do believe that.
Yeah, exactly, mate.
Under Moyes and the squad that he's got and what he's building and the project that he's building at the club, I do believe that he can get us there again. How he gets us there is a different matter. Maybe if he might had a go at the League Cup and won that, we'd get back into it. I don't know, but yeah, I have full faith in Moyes and the squad, and if he's backed in the transfer window, even better to continue growing. It is what we were promised, or partly of what we were promised, and we should be now looking to the club to build on that. Whether it happens or not is a different matter, but let's just enjoy the season, mate, and see what happens.
Yeah. Exactly right. Star of the season. Who do you think? Who do you think's going to have a big campaign for West Ham?
I think it'll be Ben Rama. I think.
Yeah,
he's the one. He's the one everyone's looking at.
Yeah, I like your idea there. You know what? I'm going to go rogue again. I think it was one of his best campaigns for a while last season, anyway, for different reasons. But I fancy a new look Manuel Lanzini. to be a man that we all grow to appreciate once again. I don't think it will be week in, week out, but I think when he does play in that deeper lying role, he'll help us unlock those teams who are willing to just sit back and try and defend and get a point against, what will be considered for lots of teams this year a giant killing against West Ham, or a very decent point. So yeah, I fancy Manuel Lanzini to make us all fall in love with him once again, if at all we have ever fallen out of love with him. And one man, James, who you think perhaps by the end of the season we'll be looking to see the back of, or who's perhaps not going to have a stunning season, or won't have quite as much of an impact as we'd like?
I hate to say it, but I think that might be Craig Dawson.
Cool. Oh, how can you say it?
Now,
that one hurts.
I'd never want to see the back of the great man. What a wonderful man he is. But I don't know. I just think that if Milenkovic does come in, is he a first choice starter with Milenkovic, potentially Ogbonna? I'm not going to say Diop. As much as I think Diop's good enough, he's just still too shaky for my liking. I just don't see how he stays in our team beyond this season, maybe beyond the next 3 or 4 months.
Well, I'm not only talking about this campaign. Yeah, fair enough.
Fair
enough. It's not fair enough at all.
By the end of this coming season, I think we'll be looking at Dawson going, look, thanks, mate. You've been like a legend. But it's time to move on, and I say that with a real heavy heart. I said it with a real heavy heart, and I'm going to cry myself to sleep after saying that tonight. But it's the way I see it going, and I'm pretty sure there'll be listeners who agree. Also begrudgingly, you don't want to see the back of him, but I think we will see the back of him.
Oh God, I'm not going to ask questions like that anymore. That's horrible. Well, mine was going to be a man you mentioned just then. And it seems like a bit of an easy one, but I think it's a Diop. I think this could be the campaign that confirms that a departure from West Ham is the best situation for all parties. If Milenkovic comes in, I know people still talk about his age, but I think, he's sort of on a reasonable contract at West Ham as well. I still think if he's not doing it by January, a loan might not be the worst thing. I know we need numbers this season. But yeah, I think that by the end of the season, it might be one of those where we go, look, I think we've been patient enough now. Time to move him on and say thanks for your efforts. Because again, same sort of reasons, really. I mean, Dawson's come and shown what it takes to be a successful defender at West Ham. And Dawson's come and just done the simple things well, hasn't he? He's been 9 and 10 out of 10s at the simple stuff. He's put his body on the line. He, all of those cliche things. He hasn't done anything with any frills, really, has he? He's gone up for corners, got his head on a few, and been a trouble in both boxes and been impossible to get round, and then, made himself hard. It must be horrible playing against him. And there's no way, if you're a Premier League centre forward going to play West Ham and you see Issa Diop on the starting lineup, you think, I'm in for a hard afternoon. And that's the sort of team that David Moyes is trying to create. And I don't think Issa Diop fits that mould. Yeah. Jonesy, that's it. That was a great little recap on our season reviews.